Hello there and welcome to this video, which is the top 10 questions that Reliant Destinations often gets asked about Sandals Grenada. Hey there, I'm Addison. I'm the founder and CEO of Reliant Destinations and mycaribbeanluxury.com. It's a pleasure to have you here by this channel, Mr. TraveLux. At Reliant Destinations, we are your one-stop shop for everything sandals and beaches. We have won a lot of the top global awards for Sandals and Beaches resorts, and our goal is to make sure that each person visiting one of these properties has a truly spectacular time. Our services are 100% complimentary, and you can find more details in the description below. You can also reach out to my team and I at hello@reliantdestinations.com. We always say if you aren't reaching out, you might be missing out. So again, that's hello@reliantdestinations.com. Before we dive into this today, I want to also mention that on our website, we have a brand new tool on there, which is a Find Your Sandals Resort quiz. So what this does, it allows you to take a few questions and see which of the properties best suit your idea for a great vacation. Each of the properties is so different, and some people don't know what might be better until they know. So definitely take a moment and answer those questions on there and see which of the resorts is best suited for your idea of that perfect vacation in tropical paradise. But for now, let's go ahead and dive straight into this video, which is going to be the top 10 questions about Sandals Grenada. Let's go. Number 1. What is the best room category if I want a private pool? That is a frequent question that we get asked, and it's a great question. So first thing I would mention here is if you want a private pool, that is going to be a butler suite. As a reminder, or maybe as first-time information for some of you, there are 3 tiers at Sandals. So you have the entry tier called the luxury tier, you have the middle tier, which is Club Sandals, and then you have the top tier, which is called Butler Elite. At Sandals Grenada, all 3 of these categories exist, and in terms of suites with private pools, all of those are going to be Butler Elite suites, which, as that term suggests, does come with private butler services, which can help you along your stay. Don't worry, it's not someone that stands over you every moment, but it's more of that invisible force in the background, helping make sure that your stay is perfect. So whatever you need, for example, like priority restaurant reservations, or if you're someone that would like some assistance with dietary help, or you would like a specific chair or area set up along the beach, these are all things which your butler can help with. And there's also videos on this website that cover everything butlers can do, and we can go into more details if you contact us, but that's just a reminder on that front. In terms of which ones are the best, well, there's quite a few options actually. So a lot of the resorts only have one choice, if any, in terms of which have private pools. At Sandals Grenada, there's definitely choice. So I have one that I love, which is not even in the top 3 in terms of pricing, but it's one that I love personally, and I often request during my own stays for Sandals Grenada. And this is going to be what's called the M1P category, and something we can send you plenty of photos on this if you wish, but M1P basically is going to be in the South Seas area, and this is a 1-bedroom butler villa with a private pool. Now, this pool is not completely enclosed, so technically people can look in on certain angles, but it's very, very high up, and honestly, to me, it feels completely private, and definitely half of that pool is going to be completely private. This is going to be set up a little bit up on the side of a hill, so you get a really gorgeous view of part of the island and part of the Caribbean. So this is not something where I'm going to call it a beachfront or oceanfront view, although some of the suites you can get a bit of an ocean view from them, but it's just a really romantic suite. The bathrooms I am in love with. They are so gorgeous, so romantic. And in terms of where the pool is literally at the end of your bedroom. So you step out of the bed and just a few steps to doors, you slide open those beautiful floor to ceiling glass doors, and you have that gorgeous plunge pool right in front of you. So for some of you, that might sound like a perfect idea, and that's something which I love. So I prefer the private pools, which are a little bit more secluded and romantic. I don't care so much about the ocean view on mine. So for me, that M1P is perfect. You also do have rondavells, which are conical structures. These are a new concept as a few years ago that we now see at lots of different properties. And these rondavells also have a private pool sanctuary, and those are completely enclosed, completely private. So those there are definitely something for those who want the maximum level of privacy. And in terms of modern innovations, that's going to be definitely at the pinnacle of modernity at Sandals Grenada. So again, those are the rondavells, and happy, of course, to share more information about those. For those that want, though, the creme de la creme, that is going to be what we call the sky pools. There are two different variants of this here at Sandals Grenada. So both of them are very similar. The biggest difference is the positioning. So one is a penthouse version, which means you're going to have the most elevated view. So all of these are going to have a dedicated bedroom separate from the bathroom and relaxation area, but are going to have a fairly sizable private pool that hangs off the side of the building with stunning ocean views. So for a lot of people that want both that private pool and also wish to have those amazing cascading views, that's what the sky pools are for. Now, of course, while you can look out, it's pretty hard to look in because they're really situated quite high up, and honestly, you can't really look in from the angle down below. So it's a really great way where you have those amazing views but still have that privacy of the sky pools. And you will have sky pools to the left and right, but there are dividing walls between them, so it does still offer that really romantic and enclosed feel. Okay, well, that's question number one. Don't worry, I will not be so detailed on the further questions, but that's what I'm passionate about because I do love a good private pool. Question number two is, how steep are the hills at this property? Which is a very valid question. So I would say that it depends on where you are in the property. If you are someone that's staying in one of that 𝗏𝗏𝗶 like I mentioned, or if you're staying in a sky pool, you're going to have a little bit of elevation to get to that. With the sky pools, there are elevators over there in those buildings, so that's not so much of an issue for a lot of people. However, the individual villas you have, for example, where that 𝗏𝗏𝗶 is that I talked about in the South Seas Village, those are going to be perched up along a hill, and it really depends on how far up the hill you are in terms of your walk, and that's the only way to get there. If you are someone where accessibility does matter to you, and I would say you're not going to want to stay in one of those if you're in a wheelchair, but if you don't want to walk far or aren't able to walk far, you can put in requests for one that is further down that hill. If you're staying, though, in one of the central buildings, the main areas, all of those are fairly flat. So really it's going to be just your villas that are perched up along the hill. Also, for example, to get to the tennis court, that can be a little bit hilly angle, but a lot of the major things where all the major restaurants are, where a lot of the suites, where most of the club and entry-level suites are, that's going to be rather flat in this resort. All right, number three is a question we were asked very recently, which is it true you can get steak and sushi in the same night? Yes, yes, yes. So Sandals Resort loves its food scene. And I have to say, the food scene is improving heavily right now. Even some of the resorts where I wasn't absolutely in love with the food offerings some years ago, now all the enhancements that have come with the Sandals 2.0, and that's being featured right now, a lot of amazing stuff happening. So yes, at Sandals Grenada, my favorite restaurant there, and a lot of my clients' favorite restaurant, is going to be 𝗏𝗏𝗆's Chop House. 𝗏𝗏𝗆's Chop House is one of the most premium, perhaps if not the most premium restaurant across the Sandals brand. And you don't find it in every resort, only your more premium resorts. You'll find it, for example, Sandals Royal Barbados. You will find it at Sandals Montego Bay, which has been one of the most fluffed up original resorts of the original Sandals there in Jamaica. So you can find it at a few properties, but you're gonna find it less than half of the Sandals. And 𝗏𝗏𝗆's Chop House, it offers very romantic experience. And in there, yes, you're going to be able to choose a lot of options. When it comes to steak, multiple cuts of steak. And guess what? It's all inclusive. If you want to try multiple cuts, have it. If you want to order extra lobster tail, have at it. Yes, so there's a lot of different choices there. And of course, the classic at 𝗏𝗏𝗆's Chop House is going to be the surf and turf. So as long as lobster is in season, that'll be a lobster or filet mignon. If lobster's out of season for whatever reason, there's usually an abundance of other seafood options and seafood skewers that are combined with this. At the end of the day, you are able to have some really good steak and seafood. And in terms of sushi, right next to Butch's, you're gonna have soy sushi. And soy sushi is often used as an appetizer to start before going over and eating steak. So soy sushi, this is gonna be a sushi bar where you have made to order sushi. And for those of you who don't love sushi so much, I'll admit, I'm learning to like sushi, so I'm in what I call the sushi skeptic boat. There's multiple options in there. For example, like the crispy Philly, which is going to be a deep fried piece of sushi. So cooked sushi, which is going to be smoked salmon. It's going to have cream cheese. It's going to be wrapped up in a panko breadcrumb. So there's options in there for those of you who aren't sushi lovers. So if you're coming as a couple, one person loves their sushi, the other person is not so sure about sushi, you can still both go to soy and enjoy that. You could do that for a full meal if you just want to go all out on sushi, or as I do, again, appetizer before headed to my favorite, Butch's. Number 4 is about the weather. So we get asked a lot about the weather. What is the weather like year round? So first of all, what I always say is anyone who promises you any weather is either God or a liar, okay? So one of those two things there. So at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sit here and promise you any weather, but I can give you some statistical averages and of course my own and my clients' experiences as well. So in terms of the weather, Grenada gets pretty lucky. So Grenada is very south in the Caribbean and is actually just below the traditional hurricane belt. Does that mean that hurricanes never hit Grenada? No, but it means they rarely do. So even in what is traditional hurricane season, some of the resorts that get more bad weather, the southern belt of the Caribbean often gets spared from that. So typically, just so you know, that's going to be a season from like late August through October. That's typically when the peak chance for hurricane is in the Caribbean. By the way, if you're thinking about traveling to the Caribbean during that time, the weather is still warm. Typically when it rains very quickly. It can be heavy, but heavy, quick rain. And the prices are really good for the autumn. So if it's something where you're after a good deal, I would say don't be too shy. But for those who are after a decent deal, but also want to maximize their chance for the best weather, the Southern Caribbean can do that trick, and that will include Grenada. So including Grenada there, the weather is typically going to be very, very warm. So around year-round, in terms of Fahrenheit, you're really looking at that 80 to 90 degrees year-round. And so whether that is hurricane season, or whether it's the technical winter or the summertime, you're going to have really nice weather more often than not. Even in the worst season for weather in Grenada, it averages over 8 hours of sunshine a day. So there's your facts. Do with it what you will, but that has been my experience, and that's some statistics for you as well. Number 5 is about the beach. So it's called a Pink Gin Beach, and people ask us, is that Pink Gin Beach swimmable? And the answer is, oh, yes, it is. So there are some areas that are darker to it, and this is because it's some volcanic style of the mountain. So the beach itself is going to have some darker sands to it on some points, but it is stunning. It's absolutely stunning beach. And there are the main areas which have your beach loungers and that sort of thing. There's also more secluded areas of this beach as well. So you can kind of have whatever you want in that type of ambient selection there for the beach. The beach is going to have a dedicated swimming area, which is supervised by lifeguards, and then you're going to have water sports as well, which will go just outside of that area. And these will be things both including motorized and non-motorized. And non-motorized, for example, like kayaks, tandem kayaks, where you can sit front or back with the love of your life that you're there on vacation with. So yes, there's a lot of great options there for swimming, and usually the water is very clear. And there's some great snorkeling and diving opportunities too around Grenada. Some very famous dive sites. So if you're someone that loves water sports, you're in for a treat. If you're someone that likes to observe those water sports from a distance on the beach, you're also in for a good time. Question number 6 is a question we get sometimes, often by the ladies, and it is, how is the spa at Sandals Grenada? So some of you might be familiar, some of you not, but there is a term Red Lane Spa. Red Lane Spa refers to the spa brand that exists across all of the Sandals and Beaches resorts. In the Red Lane Spa there, you have a lot of treatment options. And the spa itself here at Sandals Grenada is rather sizable, and it's in an area that offers a lot of peace and tranquility. There are some facilities there, for example, plunge pool facility, sauna, things like that, which you can use even if you don't want a treatment. So those are complimentary for any of the guests staying at Sandals. For those of you who want treatments, there's a lot of options. If you are thinking to do a treatment together, you'll be in for a treat. You have the Sense of Love's couples massage, which is the most iconic treatment package at any Sandals resort, and it is done very well there at Sandals Grenada. That's a tandem side-by-side massage with your love, and there's romantic candles. You can each choose your own scent. You can each choose your own massage style. It's very customized to each person while still allowing for a cohesive romantic experience. This can be done there in the spa itself, or there are some upgrade options for that to do that along the beach as well if you want to have an open air massage. Question number 7. Is it safe to take excursions and go off the property, or should we stay in the resort? That's a great question. It's a very valid question. There are certain resorts which I recommend staying more on the resort. There's others where I say get more adventurous. Here in Grenada, it's a fairly small island, and honestly, a lot of the areas on the island are safe. However, for tourists that don't know the island well, I typically recommend don't do a whole lot of independent exploration, just because you don't know the island, you don't know where to go, and you don't know the few areas where you should probably avoid and that sort of thing. So there are so many great certified excursions, and these all go to great places on the island which offer some type of natural scenic beauty or some type of immersive experience. So when you go to Grenada, I highly recommend that every single guest at Sandals takes an island roots expedition. And that's something where honestly, it's a really great time. There's a lot of choices. So whether you want to go on a hike and see from some scenic areas, or if you want to take an ATV tour, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of choices there. So after any guest books their Sandals trip with us, we actually send you out a link that has everything that's available. So you can have a look at all the options there. You can have a look at the times, the prices, and you can book it. So you can get your time slot committed there. And those time slots are changeable and even refundable up until just a few days before you go. So it's something where even if you're not sure that your trip's a year out, you can go ahead and get those locked in so nobody else takes that spot from you, even if you're not quite sure yet. But in terms of Grenada itself, I've sent many clients there. I've been to this resort probably 10 times myself. I have sent hundreds, if not thousands of guests to this resort over the years. And at the end of the day, my feedback has always been great. I've always felt safe on all of these excursions, and the same for my clients. So I would say this is an island you definitely want to experience, but I recommend doing it in a time-tested, proven manner, such as one of those excursions. Number 8, how is the nightlife? Is it active or chill? So Sandals Grenada, I'm going to say that for the evenings, it's going to be a little bit more of a relaxed atmosphere. Does this mean there's no entertainment? No, it doesn't mean this at all. You will find some great entertainment. I've seen there Broadway nights, I've seen fire shows, beach parties, but all of these are going to be a little bit more laid back vibe in general. You're not going to have any huge attractions or crazy things or speakers all over the resorts. This is something where it is going to be a little bit more laid back, but still plenty to entertain, plenty to keep you occupied. There are other resorts which have very lively atmospheres. If you're looking for one of those, just send us an email. Again, hello@ReliantDestinations.com. We can certainly advise on which of those are the most lively. But this resort, I would say that it is going to be more the relaxed feel, but with plenty to do. So that nice little vibe. Number 9. Number 9 is about swim up suites. It is, how private are the swim up suites? It's a great question. So in terms of the swim up suites at Sandals Grenada, first of all, one unique thing is there aren't even entry tier rooms that have swim up at this resort. Typically at most of the Sandals, we see that that's Club Sandals tier or higher. So for those of you that are more budget conscious but still want to swim up, this resort can be good for that. In terms of the privacy, anybody can access those areas. That's just how it is. However, in my experience, the different lagoons and the areas that are right in front of those buildings that make up the swim outs, those are typically rather private. I never see guests that aren't staying in those buildings that are going into that area. Now, of course, you are sharing these with a few other suites, but the reality is there's so much to do at a Sandals resort. It's very rare that you have all the suites trying to use it at once. In fact, in my own experience, I would say that 75% of the time that I have used a swim out suite, it's just been me and my partner, whoever I'm there with, and that's typically the experience. So they are rather private. Are they enclosed? No, that's why they're private pool suites at this resort. But the experience itself is not intrusive, and it's located typically in the very kind of more secluded areas of the resort, with lots of peaceful relaxation, lots of tranquil trees and the sounds of the Caribbean. So, you know, if you are someone that you don't demand complete privacy, but you would like to have a little bit more of a secluded, laid-back area that's not right by the rest of the resort, the heart of the action, those swim-up suites can be a good choice for that. And our final question, number 10, is Grenada hard to get to from the US? Okay, so in terms of hard to get to from the US, that of course is dependent upon where you are in the US, but just know that the vast majority of flights to Grenada from the US are going to go through either Charlotte or Miami. Those are the vast majority, exceptions apply, but that's where you'll see the majority of flights coming through. In terms of how long, typically from Miami, that's about a 4-hour flight. From Charlotte, that's about a 4.5 to 5-hour flight often. And so the flight time is longer for sure than if you're going to somewhere like the Bahamas, which going from Miami to the Bahamas can be, 20 minutes in the air sometimes. But is it worth it? Honestly, the Southern Caribbean has so much natural beauty down there, and of course has great weather most of the year. And so for me, especially if you've already been to the Northern Caribbean, exploring the Southern Caribbean is worth a little bit longer flight. For some of you coming from the West Coast, for example, like California, does this mean you're gonna have to have a red-eye flight or have that overnight layover probably somewhere like Miami? The answer is yes, probably. But in my opinion, it's worth it. And everyone should experience the Southern Caribbean at least once if they haven't already. So I would suggest don't be off-put by a longer flight time. It is worth it. So there we have it. Those are the top 10 questions we often get asked about Sandals Grenada. As I mentioned before, we always say, if you aren't reaching out, you just might be missing out. So make sure to reach out to us with any questions and to make sure that you have the best service and the best value guaranteed for your sandals and beaches booking. Again, that's hello@ReliantDestinations.com. We ask any questions you have, you send it there. You can also pop any quick questions in that description below, or just below the description in the comment section, and we're always there for you. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe. I definitely hope that you have a great time when you visit Sandals, and maybe one day we'll even cross paths in resort. We'll see you back here on the channel next time. Take care.